Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I thought I would do kind of a chatty video because I want, I want to talk about this, alright? Circe by Madeline Miller. I did not read this in a book club setting, but I thought that it was really interesting that Madeline Miller had come up with discussion questions in the back of the book in case someone were to have wanted to read this in a group. And I had been going over the questions and I was like, okay, let me stop myself. Why am I not doing this with tarot? Which I kind of found cool. Now I got out the Minoan tarot by Lorenzi-Prince. Now Minoan, okay, is not Circe's island. It would be more pacify, okay, in terms of the story. And there probably will be spoilers in this, so if you haven't read this, I suggest skipping this video. But I thought I would go over the discussion, some of the discussion questions. I'll skip one if I don't think that the question is kind of relevant, like, to talk about. So, I don't know, maybe we'll do about 15 of the questions. I think there's only like 19. I think the last couple are kind of, I'd like to stick with the story and its philosophy. I'll just put the book like this, set it up like this. I might have to push y'all back a little. Alright, and I got the deck out, and I thought that I would go over the questions and then shuffle the deck and pull a card, okay? The Minoan tarot is an excellent tarot. I've loved it for many years. The Minoans are a fascinating civilization. And I thought that it would be the perfect deck for the Circe book. So, let's get into this, okay? Talking about Madeline Miller's Circe. Circe struggles to find a place for herself as a woman in a man's world. How does her experience resonate with modern-day challenges that women face? Okay, I guess I will say that in the beginning, maybe, there was a sense of this Heliopolis, okay? This very heliocentric world that she grew up in. And you do get a lot of, I don't know, I guess you could say patriarchal society. And how, like, depending on the role of the women, because I think some of them had roles, like there's nymphs, right? And then there's the children of the gods, and then blah, blah, blah. And then according to the roles that women took in this Heliopolis, okay, that Circe grew up in, I think that it was hard for her to find her place, more so to the point because she didn't know which role she would be. She wasn't Helios's, just Helios's child, because there was like a dissociation there, I believe, especially with the mother too, and not being a nymph, right, and being different than anyone that would be in the categories. It's the typical I'm different than any other girl kind of a trope. But I can't, that could be why she feels like that. It's just dissociation, I believe, because she's just different. Modern day challenges that women face. I'll pull a card for that because I think that there are challenges that women face, but it's not like what the feminists would tell you, okay? It's not. So, the question I asked in my mind was, modern day challenges, could the modern day challenges could they be corroborated with Circe's story, okay? Earth 5, ooh, we got the bunny rabbit. This is very much a fertility card. This deck specifically is laid out in the elements, so sea, sky, earth, and art. Art being like the wands. It's more about the craft of the civilization, right? But we got earth, and we got Earth 5. And I think that that's the bunny. I think that this probably represents the quick, it's kind of swiftness. It's kind of prey versus predator. And there is a dichotomy with the rabbit. Okay. Now the guidebook is this just like little book. It's falling apart. But it says, a diversity of approaches will bring the most success. Be wary. Not everything around you has your best interest at heart. I do see that in Circe's story, but I do see that in Modern Challenges as well. Like, we have gotten out of knowing what is predator and what is prey, right? And which one we're in, what category we individualistically and culturally fit into anymore. So, I think that is interesting. Let your inventiveness change hardship to opportunity. Okay. It's a powerful message for maybe how we could get out of the challenges. There's like a possible solution. I like how the tarot does that sometimes. Okay. Now, a central theme of Homer's Odyssey is longing for Nostos, homecoming. Okay, it very much is. In what way is that theme reflected in Circe's story? I don't necessarily think that Circe is about homecoming. I think it's more so a trajectory of finding one's own home. Because as we know, in the Odyssey, you know, Odysseus is on this huge, long journey. And in his heart, he really believes that home is waiting for him, right? But because of the long epic, when he gets home, he's changed, Penelope's changed, Telemachus has changed, and I don't think he recognizes his beautiful home, because it was almost like it, over the course of this long, years-long journey, home became an ideal. And I think that in Circe, that was in the Odyssey, but in Circe, I do believe that home is very much what you make of it. And I think that's the whole point. And so it's not so much that like she wants to go back to like the Heliopolis. It's more so that she wants to be able to come up with her ideal of what home means, because she never felt at home in a lot of ways. And I think that the whole point when she found her little island was to set up what home meant for her. In terms of her values. So I really appreciate that. Let's pull a card for the concept of home and maybe even homecoming, if the tarot is so apropos with that. We got Goddess, okay? Which in this deck is like the Emperor, okay? The Empress card. We got the God and the Goddess, respectfully. But I like this because it talks about your dominion to me. It talks about home and homecoming both residing inside and residing in the ideals that divinity may give you. And her being a goddess all in her own right, I think that that's really profound. That it's more about the idea and the ideals of home being where your heart is, I guess. So that was cool. How does Circe's encounter with Prometheus change her? How does it continue to affect her actions? Well, in most of the book, I won't say most, some of her actions are, I think some of the choices she makes, she thinks about Prometheus. Prometheus is very much in her head. And I really put myself in the story, okay? And after the Prometheus scene, when she's a child and she gives him ambrosia and kind of talks to him, kind of becomes like a minute-long companion with him while he was getting punished after he got punished by the gods. And I think that it molds her decisions, because as the story, in terms of time, as the story, when you're reading it, and she keeps kind of bringing him up in her mind, he's actively on the mountain getting attacked by the falcon. So it's a continuous thing. The falcon is coming, eating his liver, and it's happening in real time in the story. So when she thinks about him and like the vision comes up that she helped him, she knows that it was against God. It was against the God's decree to have done this, but then also that it's punishment and a willing punishment. So it's also martyrdom. You know, we see this a lot in the Jesus motifs, this idea of someone willing to die for a cause. You know, like they believed in what they did so much that they're willing to continue to get tortured by it. And I think that that's a powerful motif. How does it continue? Let's pull a card for Prometheus. Because some of these will just have underlying themes, really. Art Master. Oh, look at that. We see the ruddy skin of the male priests here. And I think he's collecting something, maybe possibly sap or something. Let's look. Art Master. The court cards in this are renamed, so it's Worker, Priestess, Master, and Mistress. Master and Mistress, kind of like the king and queen, respectfully nod back to the god and the goddess. So the master would be, and the mistress being the king in this regard. So like because it's kind of, the way Lorenzi-Prince talks about it, this is very much a matrilineal and matriarchal society, even though there's really no evidence for that. Fun to think about, but there's really no evidence for it. So this would technically be like the queen, but it's the master, okay? Let's see. Messages from the Master of Art, which again is the wand suit. A large theme is playing out in your life. Bear your role with grace while you consider possibilities. Let your sense of purpose drive your achievement. Embrace the integration of your heart with your power. Okay, so this is blending both. And this is what I said about Prometheus. Oh my gosh, he is so this. So if we think of the wand suit, and then we think of this being the master of that suit, then we think of Prometheus laying down his values and being willing to be sacrificed for them because he brought fire to humanity, right? And he was so for that he was willing to be punished. And Circe, I think, knew that and could tell that. So that's an interesting card we got for lovely Prometheus. I really did like him in this story, even though we only saw him a little bit. But I liked the way he seemed to play out in her mind. Throughout the novel, Circe draws distinctions between gods and mortals. There does seem to be this dichotomy in her brain between, kind of like she just is very curious about mortality. Which is why the ending is so fucking powerful. She's so curious about mortality because she knows that she really doesn't know anything about mortality. You know, the pace of this book was the pacing of this book was so good because it really got you in touch with the timing. Like you really felt like centuries were going by in between scenes and in between chapters even. And the pacing was so spot on that Madeline Miller is just a genius for writing it that way, because you knew, okay, she's living centuries long, you know, and not getting attached to mortals because there's just a blip in her existence. So how are each of them portrayed? How does Glaucus change when he becomes a god? Well, I could say that Glaucus, which was like her mortal friend in the beginning, that she wanted to be a lover. And she knew that his existence as a mortal would be such a blip that she just desperately wanted him to become a god just for the timing of it. Just like, hey, stay as you are, but I want you to live long time so that we can be together. And when he, you know, through trickery and all kinds of stuff, he gets changed to a god, but then he changes himself. The god Glaucus changes to have the same aspirations as the gods that she knew. He wasn't different like her, like she thought. He had the same status-driven immortality. Have an island of his own, have people, under him that he worships and stuff like that. And same as her brother, actually. Her brother had the same thing, and she didn't want to lose him either. But they were so driven by power and status that Glaukos fell under that spell when he became a god. So let's pull a card for the dichotomy between mortality and immortality. Ooh, got Art 6. Okay, so another wand card. Now this is a priestess playing a lyre. So this could be again, with the art suit in this deck, we're focusing on the craftiness of these people. And I think this is more ritual music for divinity, right? And I think that this is such a good card for this, because the dichotomy here is invocation. And how instead of looking at the dichotomy as mortality in a death sense, mortality and immortality, look at it more as evocation and invocation. And how we can become one through those things. And there doesn't need to be two separate things anymore. It's more like becoming one through invocation, and possibly even not all the way invocation, but evoking the feelings of the goddess or the god. And I really like that. How when you play music, you seem to transcend, and the altered state of consciousness kind of bridges the gap. So I really like that. It's a good card for that. Circe wonders if parents can ever see their children clearly. She notes that so often when looking at her children, our children, we see only the mirror of our own faults. And it's true in large ways. What parts of herself does she see when she looks at Telongonus? And what are her strengths and weaknesses as a parent? Well, one, she's severely sheltering him because of his mortality. And that's yet another thing that she struggles with, is that her immortality, when she becomes a parent, is versus her son. So it's this mother-son, which has been a huge psychological and philosophical motif for many, through many philosophers, this mother-son dynamic. And you could go Oedipus with this, okay? I'm not going to talk too much about that, but if you know, you know, all right? And so I think that Circe struggles with that, with sheltering him through the mortality and immortality. But also an aspect of not knowing him. There's an aspect to her that doesn't really know him. And I think that bothers her, because she wants to know him in very intimate ways, but because he's so different than her, just in mortality alone, she can't see him clearly. So Telongonus bounces, he bounces off of her a lot because of this, to try to be his own person. And because he's half god, I believe that he does have some of those same aspirations as Glaukos and her brother. So I don't know, this kind of cool. Let's pull a card for the confusions of parenthood. Art Priestess. We're getting a lot of wands today. The wand suit, which is good. Now this is the priestess, so this would technically be like the knight, okay? But it's the priestess, the one that is doing the work involved for, like, the priestess is the one doing earthly work for the divine. So almost like the knight in this deck, the knights or the priestesses are the workers of the divine, the conduits, if you will. They are the hierophants. But I like that, because in this, we see these crocus and this kind of contemplative nature to this priestess. Let me refer to the guidebook again and see what they say about the priestess. Da 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 da. So see these, she's holding the poppies, a spray of poppy pods. Consider how you might unlock the powers in a single cell. Reminds me of that William Blake quote. Pay more attention to the symbols of a dream than the drama. Believe you can hear, and deep wisdom will speak. That speaks a lot to me of paying attention. Like I said, contemplative nature, and how when we have this relationship with our children as parents, it can be hard to take our aspirations for them out and allow them to make their own, most of the time, mistakes, but we have to allow them to kind of build up their own sense of ego and persona. And that can be hard to do because we have, since they were children, we kind of had this like vision for them. Most parents. And it's to step back from that and contemplate what that may mean for the child and for their development. I don't know, it's pretty cool. All right. Circe's sister, Pasiphae, begins the novel as a major antagonist. How does our perspective of her change after Circe's visit to Crete? Not much, okay? Pasiphae's a bitch no matter where you're at in the story, okay? But Pasiphae is tricky. She's kind of cunning because she knows Circe's heart. And she knows that Circe will come no matter if Pasiphae's a bitch or not. Okay? And it's more, there's more narcissism in Pasiphae than Circe wants to believe. And Pasiphae keeps proving that. I love Pasiphae. I really do. In all of her mythos, I think that she is kind of like Hellraiser. You know, she's very cunning, she's very ambitious, but she's going to get what she wants. And that can be, I mean, that can have negative connotations, you know? So, but I don't think that our perception of her changes, not very much, no, if at all. Let's pull, like I said, we're going to do this kind of systematically. So we're just going to pull a card for Pasiphae, which, well, I guess would be part of the ancient Minoan or pre-Minoan civilization. So maybe her essence will be in this deck. Okay, we got Transcendence, which is the Judgment card. Okay, I find that hilarious. I found that hilarious. So we got the Judgment card. We got a Major Arcana. I knew that her presence was going to be known, was going to become known in this, from this card. Now Transcendence, like I said, is renamed from Judgment, but that's so funny. The Goddess and a Griffin, okay? The marvelous beast that is both lion and eagle, ruler of earth and sky, and a perfect symbol of divine power. Okay, now what's the message from Transcendence? The door is open, true freedom is beckoning. Consider what a new world might look like and how you might participate. Push beyond your limits, which is very much what Pasiphae does, I believe. She's gonna get what she wants, no matter what. Okay. All right. Shifting. All right. Next question. How does Circe's time with Daedalus change her? Or no, affect her. I'm sorry. Now, we're probably going to pull a card for Daedalus now. I liked Daedalus in this story because he was very human. Between him and Icarus, you just really felt this, like the powerfulness of love and the humanity, you know, like a firm humanity. You got those within both of them. And I believe Circe really did. I think their relationship was I don't know. I mean, it was fleeting, okay? But it was transient beauty. Like, it needed to happen. Because I think that in large ways, Circe needed him. And he needed Circe. And they kind of came together and formed a bond that was both human and divine. And it was almost, I kind of felt, not that it was, but like this, the act of them coming together in terms of becoming lovers was almost ritualized for me. I felt that. And even when, like, after she learns of him and Icarus's death, which we all know that story. Icarus's death, and then he kind of flies off, you know, like, because Pasiphae's got him kind of like stuck there on Crete because of his inventiveness, right? But after Icarus dies, he just kind of gives up and is like, you know what? I'm leaving. Bye. Try to stop me. So let's pull a card for the good Daedalus, okay? Visionary. Oh my God, this is so good. Now, Visionary is the Hermit. It's renamed the Hermit. And this is such a good card because there's this stationary rock here, right? That's very firm. But then this very fleeting beauty of the butterfly, right? And they are juxtaposed here with the priestess standing in between. The rock, the hard place, and the transcendence of spirit. This is their relationship. Not to mention the fact that he is a visionary. He was an inventor, right? I can just imagine, like, when they were kind of describing his laboratory, I was just like, you know, like Da Vinci is a descendant of Daedalus, you know? But this coming together and becoming lovers was what... It was like he was unlocking the divine within himself to make his inventions better. If that makes any sense. Okay. Circe begins the novel feeling very close to her baby brother Aeetes. Why do their paths diverge so wildly? Why do you think he makes the choices he does? I don't know, because I'm not a god. But like I said before, I think that Aeetes had this purpose. You can call it destiny. I call it destiny. I think gods have destinies, much like we do, but theirs on a much longer arc than ours, and their destiny, their destiny transpires long in time. I think divinity is like that. But Aeetes, I do believe he loved Circe. I believe that they had a bond, a good brother and sister bond, not like most Greek myth. a good bond. But they diverged only because they had to. So let's pull a card for Aeetes. See what Aeetes has to tell us, because maybe the cards would have a divine message from Aeetes, which, if I thought about it, his divine message would be something of like brotherly love. Like, you go be all you can be. I'm going to be all I can be. And see, the most powerful thing about all this is that she doesn't see Aeetes again. You know? She sees Medea, but she doesn't see Aeetes again. And it's like, once they grow up and leave the nest, so to speak, they're like birds. You don't go back to family. So, and that's weird to read about. It's the truth in these kind of myths, but it's so weird to read about because we humans now, we don't really think like that. We think in these familial units where you're always getting together with family for this, and this, holidays and birthdays, and most people don't tread far from the nest. So, Let's see if Aidas has a message, a brotherly message for us, as the brother of us all. Speak wisdom. C5. Ooh, I like that we got another suit. Look at this big fish. So pretty. There's a lot of animal imagery in this, and because of how they ran their civilization. And it's so good to see the divinity in that, to be honest. C what? C5. We've got another 5. Okay, might tell us something. Now this is a Scaros fish, also known as the race. The entire fish was eaten in ancient times and highly regarded. Even their intestines were considered more delicious than the flesh of any other fish. Okay? Now, fish were sacred because they're a sea civilization. Make every moment count, for revolution is coming. Oh my God. Doesn't that sound like Aidas? You found your rhythm. Don't expect it to be someone else's. If you've been going at it, lie low. If you've been resting, get back out there. Change your pattern, change your luck. That is such a brotherly message. That is definitely something that my own brothers have told me before. Like, hey, if you've been laying low, you know, get back out there. Try again. You know? If you've been at it, rest. You know? It's like stuff like that. That's such a brotherly message. It's so good. It's so good. Circe tells us that she recognizes parts of herself in Medea. In what ways are the two women similar? In what ways are they different? I don't really feel like contemplating the difference because Medea is actually an archetype that I've technically deified in my mind. Okay? So I work with Medea actively, actually using this deck. So you're going to be, when I pull your Medea card. Okay. Anyway. I work with Medea in a spiritual context, so I don't feel like going over the similarities and differences. But in terms of the story, okay, the book, it was, I don't know, it was an interesting fictional take that Medea goes to Circe and, you know, asks for her advice and yada, yada, yada. She was kind of a whiny bitch, which I guess... To me, her and Pacify and Hecate, they kind of run this little corner of Greek myth that they're like strong women, okay? Not weak-willed, all right? That's not what I want to say. And maybe after Circe has her little, you know, sit down heart-to-heart talk with her, maybe that's what hardened Medea into the figure that I see when I work with her. And this very, I will say that I believe Medea to be very emotion-centric. So, you know, she's very, which can be bad, that, you know, like you're driven by your emotions, right? I do believe her to be emotionally driven most of the time, but still hard-willed. So... there's that. So I'm going to pull a card for the lovely Medea. C8. Huh. I like these shells. They're so pretty. I love this dark blue. You can't really see it because of the light here is crazy, but I love that dark blue. Let me see what that says. Do not be deceived by appearance. In reality, tritons are large, predatory sea snails that devour starfish. The triton grips its prey with a muscular foot and with a toothy, serrated organ saw through the sea star's armored skin. Golly, that's kind of brutal. All right, messages from the Titan shells. Triton shells. Danger comes in all forms, so does strength. If you hear a deep summoning call, do not ignore it. Be relentless if you would achieve your desire. Do not back off now. That does sound very Medea. Like the type of message. The way in which she would convey a message. That does sound like her. I like that. Danger comes in all forms, so does strength. Again, this kind of dichotomy between predator and prey. Interesting. Circe says that when she first meets Odysseus, he seems nearly familiar to her. Why does she say this? Who, if anyone, does he remind her of? Well, I think at first reading you think that she is kind of seeing Glaukos in him, you know? And possibly even Daedalus. I think all the mortal men that she knew, they're all wrapped up in this Odyssean being, okay? So we could pull a card for Odysseus, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know if Odysseus would have a good message for us. But let's just see what the cards say. Odysseus, you Athena-loving, well, Athena-fearing, Athena-fearing man, share some wisdom with us. C9. I feel like I'm playing bingo with you guys. C9. Oh, I didn't even show you the card. They're dolphins. Dolphins. The dolphins in the New Palace period fresco. Messages from the coast dolphin. Your heart is opening to a world of compassion. The symphony of life hums through you. Go with the flow and stay in tune. Someone you know is floundering and you can help. So it's nodding to the helpful nature of the dolphin, which I find lovely. It's very nice. But in terms of Odysseus, would I consider him a coastal dolphin? No. But more so of a stay close to your soul's home. That's the message. What is the significance of Circe meeting with Trigon? How does it impact her emotional journey? I don't think it does. Okay? Trigon is this fucking thing in the abyss. Okay? It's the abyss monster. It's the Leviathan. The dragon of the deep. It's Tiamat, right? Like, it's all the ancient monsters of the deep, of the abyss. And all gods are so fearful of it. But she just walks up to him and is like, look, I have to do this. So you can be with me or against me. Like, I don't really care. And she was willing to take the consequence. She was willing to take the pain to get his tail to help her son Telegonus. So because she was willing to go through that, and Trigon tells her that no other god has done it, no other god was brave enough, and it had nothing to do with bravery. I don't believe it's not bravery, you know? It's more so doing what you have to do and being firm in your convictions and being firm in what you're willing to put up with and what you're not. Circe knew herself to a point where she knew what she was willing to put up with for those she loved and what she wasn't going to put up with. And to be honest, I don't think there was anything that she wouldn't have gone through for her loved ones. I think she was very hard-willed that way. And Trigon, I think, was very much I think he admired her for that, to be honest. But he's a god, so at the end of the day, he really didn't care. It was like a blip of time to him that she would even consider doing this. But I think there was some admiration there that she didn't care about. She didn't care to get, you know, god-like validation. But also, she was true to her word. She gave the tail back to him, you know? It wasn't something out of greed, you know? Like, she wasn't like, hey, you know, once I get this, you know, maybe I'll keep it. You know, like in the scene of Lord of the Rings where Aragorn goes to the mountain and gets all the dead people. And, you know, people are telling him, like, hey, you know, an army of the dead might be good to keep around. And he's like, no, I'm a man of my word. Okay? I see a lot of Circe and Aragorn. Is that weird? Honor. Okay? Honor. That's what I want to say. Let's pull a card for honor. And we can say Trigon, but let's pull a card for honor. A message from honor. I think honor lives in that soul home, that place that makes the soul, the ideal of home in the soul. I think that's where honor comes from. Honor and grace. So. Ooh, got the, I want to say the Bull Rider, but I think the Bull Rider is in another card. But the bull is very much a sacred symbol. Okay, we know anything about this Greek myth and pacify, okay? You know the bull is sacred, right? So, another art card. So, when we're talking about honor, it's decisions you make. The choices that you make. You know, that's where honor is. It's weaving a path through your choices. She made that beautiful choice to go down to the sea, to the abyss, fight with the monster down there. Okay, the monster of the abyss, another motif that we see in a lot of places. What is the bull? So he's a herdsman, okay? Herdsman is taken from the gold Minoan made cup from the Mycenaean town of Vapio. Alright. Messages. Tentative movements are not welcome. Be still or be bold. How is that not a Trigon message? You know? Being sure in your movements. So good. So good. You can't make this shit up. Get hands-on and real feel for the situation. Very much Circe and Trigon there. Rely on what you know and what is proven. So good. I cannot believe how good these cards are for this. Okay, there are numerous references to crafts in the novel, including weaving, all the art cards we got. And then we finally have like a craft-themed question. Watch us not get an art card. Okay, anyway, let me finish the damn question. There are numerous references to crafts in the novel, including weaving, carpentry, and metalworking. What role does craft play in Circe's story? I believe that in so many myths, especially these Greek myths, craft plays an intricate role, because weaving is about weaving together your own story arc, right? And then metalworking, same thing. It's about the industrialization of yes, it's about industrialization. It's about inventiveness on top of Mother Nature. So it's working together with innovativeness. I like that. That's what it is. It's a way to, I don't want to use the word surrender. It's a way to take back some of the power of Mother Nature. That's what civilization is. That's what craft and art is. It's a way for us to share some individualization through the multiplicity of nature. So. Sky 10. No art card, but maybe that's a good thing, you know? If the tarot did what we told it to do, it wouldn't be very good, would it? Oh, we got a 10 though, which is technically, you know, it's kind of a rebirthing. So, like I said ace, but it's a rebirthing in a way that seems relevant. So that's kind of cool. All right, this is the butterfly. Believe there is more to you than you have yet known. It is time to emerge. You have an opportunity to make a profound and lasting change. Like I said, industrialization. The butterfly, okay, and subsequently the caterpillar and the transformation, the metamorphosis therein, is where art transcends us. It transforms us. It metamorphosizes that in which us is divine. Any type of art. Oh, that's pretty good, see? Could have gotten an art card, but that just same thing. Metamorphosis. Okay. Circe is interested in Penelope from the moment she hears about her from Odysseus. What draws her to Penelope? Does this change over time? I think that she's very much... Circe's very good at not forming an image in her mind, and then when it's not that image, she doesn't get frustrated with herself. She was just like, oh, it's just not what I thought, you know? So she's not hard on herself for what she comes up with in her mind. I love that about her. It's just a personality quirk about her that I really, really admire. That, you know how like you're like when you hear somebody's voice and you think, I know what they look like, and then they don't look anything like that, and you're like, it's kind of like that. But you kind of get, you're like mad at yourself for not knowing. And it's like, no. I don't think Circe beats herself up about stuff like that. But I think she's interested in Penelope for her mortality. For her personality. I think she admires this woman from a personality standpoint. And I really honestly think, I don't think that Circe is jealous of her. I don't think it's a jealousy, which is beautiful, which is so beautiful. Like, almost like, ever since hearing about her, I think she knows that she wants to be around her. She wants to be her friend, you know? Like, I want to know this woman, you know? It's kind of like an admiration, not an envy. So I like that. I like that a lot. Pulling the card for Penelope. Sky 5. Okay? Sky 5. Partridge. Okay? Partridge. Protect what is precious and new, lest it be devoured by the vicious and cunning. You will succeed with a partner by finding meaningful common ground. So Penelope and Circe, isn't it? Consider if you wish to give the situation the energy it requires. If not, walk away. So good. So good. And it's such an interest. They have a beautiful, I think they have a beautiful relationship after Penelope comes to Circe and her and Telemachus kind of live there with them. I think it's like almost like this weird found family, I believe. Were you surprised when Telemachus refused Athena? Why or why not? No, I was not. Okay, I knew Telemachus was going to refuse her, only because I knew him. It's interesting because if you read Telemachus, I read him very ambiguously, so I didn't put any kind of firm values on him, and first and foremost. But then I think Telemachus wasn't Athena fearing, and I think that the surprise from Circe and Penelope was that he wasn't Odysseus. And it's the son, again, this is kind of a son-father motif too, is that, you know, you're not your father. And I think it surprised the women because in doing that, in refusing her, he was saying, I'm not my dad. I don't fear you, you know? And he was, again, willing to take the consequences for that action, for that decision. So, But I don't know. I wasn't surprised. Let's pull a card for Athena. Okay. See what she says. Because maybe she wants to say a little message. Okay. I liked how she was portrayed in this book. I really do. This very much this Brienne from Game of Thrones, you know, which I would say that she was an Athenian character. I liked that a lot. I liked getting that kind of image in my head. So, Athena, what do you have to say? We got the moon card. Oh my God. This very potent eye here, okay? It does remind me of Isabella Rossellini's role as Athena in the Odyssey movie, okay? And if you haven't seen the freaking miniseries, please just stop this and go watch it, okay? Because I love it. I love that Odysseus. And I love that Isabella Rossellini is like the perfect Athena, okay? Not to mention Bernadette Peters as Circe. Like, come on. Yes. Yes. But anyway, moon card is so perfect. Okay. Let me look and see what Lorenzi-Prince says about the moon. Let instinct arise. It is your ancient wisdom. Some yearning is meant to be felt, but not fulfilled. Only a part of the situation can be known. Do not let what is unknown stop your journey. So good. So good. All right, we're going to do one more because, like I said, the last couple of questions are a little too hard to pin down for tarot, I think. But we're going to pull a card for Circe herself, Circe's transformation, and possibly even the ending of the book, which I won't say here. But she earned it. I will say she earned it. It was the most powerful ending I'd read in a book in a long time. It was fitting. And you cannot convince me that it was going to go any other way. Or that it should have. So, that's all I'll say about that. It was the most powerful ending to a book I've read in a long fucking time. So, we'll pull a card for the end of the Circe book. I've already been on here for like a freaking hour. I hope y'all enjoyed this, you know. If you haven't, please go read this book. But I'm sure if you've made it this far, you've read the book and you love it as much as everybody else I know that has read it. So, and tarot. We got transcendence again. And I have forgotten. And maybe I'll go back when I'm editing this and figure it out. But I think that this was the card that we got for Pacify. Maybe. I'll put it down here for you. But it's still a good message because I think when thinking about transcendence, okay, and judgment and the goddess and this relinquishing, it's kind of emotional to think about this being the card for the end of the book. But what a raw ride, okay? Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this, okay? Little discussion, I'll say, like little kind of, you know, discussion of Circe using the tarot and some prompts, thinking about modern times and myth and how they shape us, and how powerful fiction, legends and myth shape humanity, shape culture, shape society for good or ill. Powerful thing. Okay. Hope you enjoyed. Hope everyone's having a blessed day. Much love.